Welcome back to Byte-Sized Tech.
Yeah,
We love diving deep into the biggest tech news of the week, the stuff that really matters.
the stuff that makes you think.
Absolutely. And this week, well, we've got a lot to cover. From the ups and downs of the EV market
Oh yeah, some real shakeups there.
to the mind-blowing advancements in AI.
It seems like every day there's something new and crazier.
And of course, we can't forget about where the big money's going in the startup world.
Always following the money trail. It can tell you a lot.
So let's jump right into it, shall we?
Let's do it.
Okay, first up, electric vehicles. I think it's safe to say that things are getting a little interesting for Tesla, the one-time king of the hill.
Interesting is one way to put it.
We saw reports of a dip in their Q1 sales.
Not a great sign.
Then there was that global day of protest, the Tesla takedown, and even their stock price has been feeling the heat.
Yeah, it's been a rough few weeks for them.
What do you think is going on? Why this sudden shift in, I don't know, the Tesla narrative?
Well, I think for a long time Tesla had this huge first mover advantage.
Yeah.
They were basically the only game in town if you wanted a decent EV.
Right.
But, and this is a big but, the established automakers, they're finally getting serious about EVs.
No kidding.
And then you've got all these new players like Polestar, Lucid, you've got Ford, Volvo.
Yeah, and they're not messing around.
Not at all. They're coming out with some seriously impressive EVs, and they're not afraid to offer discounts and trade-in deals, especially to, guess who? Tesla owners.
Oh, that's smart.
It's a very calculated strategy. They're basically saying, hey, if you're thinking about switching, or maybe you're not totally happy with your Tesla, come on over. We'll make it worth your while.
It's like the EV party's in full swing now, and Tesla suddenly realized they're not the only one with the good music.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to make matters even more complicated, we have to consider the potential impact of President Trump's recently announced tariffs.
Yeah, those could be a bit of a wild card, couldn't they?
Absolutely.
Huh.
On the one hand, since Tesla does a lot of manufacturing here in the U.S., those tariffs on imported EVs could actually give them a little boost domestically.
Interesting.
But, and there's always a but, their energy storage business, which probably relies on, imported parts for batteries and stuff, that could end up costing them more.
Okay, so it's not a clear-cut win for them.
Not at all.
No.
And it's not just Tesla we have to think about. Volkswagen, for example, they've already hinted that they might have to add import fees to their cars sold here.
So it could end up affecting the entire auto market.
It could. This is where things get tricky. Those tariffs could make EVs, in general, more expensive for consumers, and that could slow down the whole transition to electric.
Yeah, nobody wants that. It's a ripple effect, really.
And speaking of Tesla and potential shakeups, there's all this talk about their robo-taxi service launching in Austin this summer.
Yes. The robo-taxis. That's been generating a lot of buzz.
But the way they're going about it seems a little, unconventional. That's one way to put it. You see, normally, when companies are getting ready to launch self-driving car services, they work really closely with local officials.
To make sure everything's safe, to figure out the regulations.
Right, all of that. But from what I've heard, Tesla's communication with Austin city officials has been pretty minimal.
Really? That's a little surprising.
It is. And it's a pretty big contrast to how other companies like Waymo, even Cruise, which has had its issues, have handled things.
And then there's the whole debate about their technology. Tesla's very committed to this camera-only approach for self-driving.
Yes, the camera-only approach. It's a bold move, to say the least.
I mean, other companies are using LiDAR, which uses lasers to create a 3D map, and WADAR, which uses radio waves.
They're all about redundancy, making sure their systems can handle different situations, especially bad weather, when cameras might not be reliable.
Right. It feels like Tesla is betting everything on their vision system being, superior.
That's the gamble they're taking. They believe their AI and processing power can overcome the limitations of just using visual data. It's a high-stakes game, for sure.
And to put a human face on all of this, we saw that report about someone who tried out Tesla's secret Tesla driver feature.
Oh, yes, the beta program.
And they described it as a living nightmare. I know it's just one person's experience, but it really taps into the anxieties people have about letting computers take over driving.
Oh, absolutely. Those kinds of personal stories, even if they're isolated incidents, they have a huge impact.
Because they feel real.
Exactly. And it just highlights how important transparency and rigorous testing are when we're talking about something as crucial as autonomous driving.
Right. Safety first. Always.
Always.
All right. Let's shift gears now and dive into the world of AI, which Frankly, feels like it's changing by the minute.
It's moving at lightning speed, that's for sure.
OpenAI, they've got some intriguing plans in the works.
They always do.
They're reportedly getting ready to launch their reasoning model, O3, and a next generation of 4 Mini.
Now, this is interesting because they actually canceled a consumer launch for O3 earlier.
Yeah, that was a bit of a head-scratcher.
It was.
Yeah.
So this new focus on O3 and O4 Mini, which are supposedly connected to their even more advanced GPT-5 architecture.
GPT-5, wow.
It suggests they're shifting gears, prioritizing pushing the limits of AI capabilities, maybe even aiming for a bigger, more impactful launch with their next-gen tech.
So maybe they decided to hold back, wait for something truly groundbreaking.
Could be.
And speaking of groundbreaking, OpenAI also made their first cybersecurity investment.
In a company called Adaptive Security.
That's the one. It's a fascinating move, using AI to basically fight AI-powered threats.
It really speaks to the double-edged sword of AI. It has incredible potential for good, but it also opens up new avenues for cyber attacks.
It's kind of a poetic, isn't it?
It is. Adaptive Security uses AI to simulate cyber attacks.
Yeah.
Imagine AI acting like a hacker to train employees on how to spot and defend against these really sophisticated threats.
So OpenAI is basically saying, hey, we're helping create this powerful technology, but we also need to make sure we're protecting against its potential misuse.
Exactly. And the fact that they co-led Adaptive Security's $43 million Series A funding round shows how seriously they're taking this.
It's a responsible move, that's for sure. And while we're on the topic of AI changing the game, even our online shopping is getting an AI upgrade.
Oh, right. Amazon's new AI shopping agent, Buy for Me.
It could be incredibly convenient or slightly unsettling. I haven't quite decided yet.
It depends on your perspective, I suppose.
I mean, this Buy For Me feature, it's powered by Amazon's Nova AI models, and it can basically act as your personal shopper, finding and buying stuff on third-party websites, all within the Amazon app.
It's definitely a big step towards automating even more of our daily tasks.
Right. I mean, are we eventually just going to hand over all control to the algorithms?
It's a question worth pondering.
It is. And speaking of handing over control, not to get too philosophical, but Microsoft is also making big moves with its AI assistant, Copilot.
Copilot is becoming quite the contender in the AI assistant arena.
We're hearing they might introduce usage caps for their newer AI models, for people who don't have a subscription.
Yes, that makes sense from a business perspective. Running these cutting-edge AI models, it takes a lot of computational power.
It's not cheap.
By implementing usage caps, they can manage the demand on their systems, but it also lets them differentiate between their free and paid offerings. Encourage those who are using AI a lot to subscribe.
It's like a power user model, kind of like what we see with some software.
Exactly. And on top of that, Copilot is getting some new tricks.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, it's going to be able to browse the web.
Wow.
And even do things like make reservations, which puts it more head-to-head with ChatGPT in terms of what it can do.
That's a pretty big deal.
It is. The ability to browse the web, that opens up a whole new world of possibilities. It means Copilot can access real-time information and do a lot more than just answer basic questions. And being able to handle things like reservations, that's taking it a step beyond just information retrieval. It's becoming more integrated into our daily lives.
Yeah, it's starting to feel less like a novelty and more like a real tool.
Exactly.
Okay, shifting gears again, this time over to Google.
Okay.
We're hearing reports that they've upped the API pricing for their Gemini 2.5 Pro model.
Yeah, for those who aren't familiar, an API in this case is basically how developers can tap into Google's AI models and use them in their own apps and services.
It's like a bridge between different pieces of software.
Exactly. So this price hike for Gemini 2.5 Pro, it likely reflects how advanced it is and the high demand for it. Developers are eager to use it.
It's also a way for Google to position their premium AI offerings, right?
Absolutely. They're saying, hey, this is top-of-the-line AI, and it comes at a premium. It's all part of the evolving economics of AI, figuring out how much these powerful tools are actually worth.
It's fascinating to watch it all unfold.
It is.
Now, while we're talking about the future of AI, we can't ignore the elephant in the room, or maybe it's the robot in the room, which is AI safety.
This is the big question, isn't it? How do we make sure AI benefits humanity and doesn't become, a threat?
Exactly.
Well, Google DeepMind, they recently shared their thoughts on building safe and secure artificial general intelligence, which is basically AI that can do anything a human can do.
That's a little scary to think about.
It can be. But they're emphasizing the need for strong oversight and some serious technical safeguards as these systems become more and more powerful. They're acknowledging the risks and advocating for a really cautious approach to AI development. Safety should be the top priority.
It's reassuring to hear that the people creating this technology are also thinking about the potential downsides.
It's essential. We can't
Mhm.
just blindly race ahead without considering the consequences.
I agree. And speaking of getting more people involved in AI, OpenAI made a pretty big announcement.
Oh yeah, ChatGPT Plus is now free for college students in the US and Canada
Oh, that's huge.
until the end of May, at least. It's a really smart move on their part. It's all about encouraging the next generation of professionals and researchers to use and get familiar with these powerful AI tools.
I mean, it's giving students access to ChatGPT Plus, which is their most advanced model, so they can use it for their studies, for personal projects, and who knows, it could lead to some amazing innovations down the line.
It's a great way to get the technology into more hands and see what people do with it.
Now, I'm always fascinated by how different groups of people view the impact of technology, and there's this interesting research from Pew Research about how AI experts and the general public, how they see AI differently.
It's a fascinating study. One of the biggest differences was just overall optimism. AI experts were way more optimistic about the positive impact of AI on the U.S. over the next 2 decades.
So they're seeing more of the upside.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they were more excited about how AI could be used in our everyday lives. They were also less worried about mass job losses, and some even thought AI could create new jobs.
So they see it as more of an opportunity than a threat?
That's the general sense, yes.
But there were some areas where both groups agreed, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
One of the big ones was the potential for job losses in certain fields, particularly cashiers and journalists.
Yeah, that's hard to argue with.
Right. And that suggests that both groups, they understand that AI automation could displace some types of work.
It's a reality we have to face.
We do. Now, here's something else that was really interesting. The research also showed a gender gap among AI experts themselves.
Really?
Yeah, male AI experts were significantly more optimistic about AI's positive societal impact compared to female experts.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's pretty revealing.
It is. And it highlights how crucial it is to have diverse perspectives in the development and use of AI. We need to make sure everyone's voice is heard.
Absolutely. And to wrap up this section on perceptions of AI, it seems there's broad agreement from both experts and the public that we need government regulation of AI.
That's a pretty clear signal.
It is. People recognize that AI has the potential to impact society in some pretty profound ways, and they want some kind of oversight to ensure it's developed and used responsibly.
It's a call for responsible innovation.
Exactly. All right, let's move on to the money side of things. Despite some talk of a slowdown in venture capital,
There have been whispers.
we're actually seeing some pretty impressive funding rounds. For example, Ballistic Ventures is apparently raising a huge new fund, $100 million.
That's not chump change.
Not at all. And that suggests that some sectors are still attracting serious investment.
Absolutely. The overall VC landscape might be a bit more cautious these days, but there's still strong interest in areas that have high growth potential, and cybersecurity, which is Ballistic Ventures' focus, is a prime example.
It's essential in today's world.
It is. And then, of course, we talked about Adaptive Security's $43 million Series A. With OpenAI's backing, cybersecurity is definitely hot right now.
It's a good time to be in that field. We also saw funding in the EV space with Evident Battery. They raised $3.2 million for their battery inspection technology.
As more and more EVs hit the road, making sure those batteries are healthy, that's going to be critical.
It's all about safety and longevity.
Exactly. Think
Yeah.
about it. Battery health impacts resale value, it impacts safety, and it's a key factor in making EVs truly sustainable.
And the energy sector, it's always a hotbed of innovation and investment.
Right. And we saw a hydrogen startup, 4EA, raise a healthy $18.5 million in their Series A round.
Hydrogen power is still seen as a major part of the future energy mix, isn't it?
It is. And this funding is a reflection of that commitment to finding diverse, clean energy solutions. Hydrogen, it has the potential for incredibly high energy density and long duration storage. So it's got some real advantages for certain applications.
It's good to see that people are still exploring all the options.
Absolutely. Diversity is key when it comes to energy.
Now here's an interesting one. The EV maker Windrose Technology, they're based in Belgium but with roots in China, and they're planning a big US IPO, $400 million.
That's a bold move, especially in the current economic climate.
It's definitely a sign of confidence, both in their own market potential and in the US capital markets.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
For sure. Okay, shifting gears to one of the biggest funding rounds we saw, and this is a big one, $600 million for Isomorphic Labs.
Isomorphic Labs, yes. They're an AI drug discovery platform that spun out of DeepMind, and this was their first external funding since they were founded.
That's incredible.
It is. And that level of investment shows how much faith people have in AI's ability to revolutionize the pharmaceutical industry. You know, Isomorphic Labs, with all that AI expertise from DeepMind, they could really accelerate the process of discovering and developing new medicines.
That could be a game changer for healthcare.
It could be. And speaking of big funding rounds, Plaid, they're a major player in fintech infrastructure, they raised a substantial $575 million, although it was at a lower valuation than their peak.
Still, it's a lot of money.
It is, and it shows that there's still a lot of confidence in the future of financial technology. Plaid plays a vital role in connecting financial institutions and applications. It's a key part of how fintech works today.
So there's still a force to be reckoned with.
Definitely. And then we have Temporal, a workflow automation platform. They raised a solid $146 million in their Series C round.
Workflow automation, that's all about making businesses more efficient, right?
Exactly. Companies are looking for ways to boost productivity and cut costs, and Temporal's funding is a sign that there's a growing demand for robust solutions in that space,
It makes sense. Every company wants to be leaner and meaner.
especially in today's competitive landscape.
Right. And staying in the world of AI, but on the hardware side, we saw Ritim. They make AI data center chips, raise $75 million in their Series D round.
The demand for specialized hardware to run these increasingly complex AI models, it's just exploding.
It's like an arms race for AI processing power.
It is. Ritim's funding is a clear sign that the investment in next-generation AI infrastructure is continuing to grow.
It's an exciting time to be in AI, both on the software and hardware side.
Absolutely. Now, here's something a little more out there, but with huge potential. Aetherflux raised $50 million for their space-based solar power stations.
Okay, space-based solar power, that sounds pretty futuristic.
It is. It's a long-term vision, but it has the potential to provide clean and virtually unlimited energy. And this investment, it shows that there's growing interest in the possibilities of harnessing energy from space.
It's like something out of science fiction.
It does sound that way, doesn't it? But science fiction has a way of becoming reality.
That's true. All right, coming back down to Earth, we saw Rome raise $11.5 million to help homeowners find properties with assumable mortgages.
With interest rates where they are right now, that could be a really valuable tool.
Absolutely. Innovative solutions that can help people find more affordable financing, they're going to be in high demand.
Especially in a challenging housing market.
Okay, last one in this funding roundup. Construct Capital. They closed a $300 million fund focused on startups in manufacturing, transportation, and defense tech.
Those are some pretty core industries.
They are. It seems like there's a renewed focus on these foundational sectors.
It makes sense. There's so much room for technological advancements in those areas, and Construct Capital is betting on that.
Yeah, it's a smart move. All right, let's wrap up with some notable acquisitions. Epic Games, the company behind Fortnite, they acquired the AI platform Loci.
Loci, yes. They specialize in automatically tagging 3D assets and detecting intellectual property infringement. So it seems like Epic's thinking is this will help them streamline their content creation process and protect their valuable IP within their massive digital ecosystem.
Makes sense. They've got a lot to protect.
They do. And Qualcomm, a major chip maker, they acquired the generative AI division of an AI.
That sounds like a strategic move.
It is. Qualcomm is clearly trying to get ahead in the rapidly growing field of generative AI. They want to build those capabilities into their mobile and other chip platforms.
So they're not just making the hardware, they're also investing in the AI that will run on it.
Exactly. They're thinking long term.
Smart. We also saw the debt platform, Turbine, raise $22 million. Even the financial underpinnings of the tech world are attracting investment.
It's all connected.
It is. And last but not least, Runway. The video generation AI, they had a massive raise, $308 million.
Generative video, that's a space to watch closely.
For sure. Runway's funding is a clear indicator that there's a lot of excitement and rapid progress happening in that field.
It has huge implications for content creation, media, all sorts of things.
All right, let's finish up with some rapid-fire tech news. Meta, they've made a controversial decision.
They're eliminating their US-based fact-checkers.
It raises some big questions about how they plan to tackle misinformation.
It does. And the TikTok saga continues. President Trump extended the deadline for a potential ban, giving them another 75 days.
75 days to figure things out. And then adding another layer of complexity, AppLovin is reportedly interested in buying TikTok, joining a growing list of potential buyers.
It's a hot commodity, that's for sure. And across the Atlantic, the EU is thinking about hitting X, formerly Twitter, with a big fine for supposedly breaking their disinformation laws.
So the pressure is on for social media companies to get their act together?
It is. Regulators around the world are taking notice.
They are. Okay, back to some positive news. Amazon is adding AI-generated recaps to Kindle e-readers.
That's a cool idea.
It could be a game changer for remembering complex plots. And GitHub Copilot, they're introducing limits on certain actions for new models unless you have a subscription.
Again, it seems those advanced AI capabilities come at a price.
And in a bit of lighter news, Elon Musk is apparently planning to build a park in Austin.
Seems like his footprint in Texas is expanding.
It does. Now, this next one could affect a lot of people's wallets. There's talk of iPhone prices going way up, potentially as high as $2,300 because of possible tariff increases on imports from China.
That's a hefty price hike.
It would definitely change the smartphone market.
It would. For gamers out there, Nintendo is launching a new handheld console on June 5th, which should be exciting. And on a slightly more concerning note, password managers are facing more and more threats these days.
That's a reminder to make sure yours is secure.
Absolutely. And for those who like practical gadgets, there's a new free dashcam app for Android Auto.
Safety first.
Always a good idea. And in the world of medical tech, there's this amazing new development, a tiny, injectable, dissolving pacemaker.
Wow. That's incredible.
It's a big step forward in cardiac care.
It is. And we're also seeing authors protesting against Meta for using their copyrighted work to train AI models, which brings up some big questions about AI and intellectual property.
It's a debate that's not going away anytime soon.
It's not. And in space exploration, SpaceX successfully tested their flight-proven super heavy booster, which is a big win for reusable rocket technology.
It's exciting to see progress in space travel.
And Commonwealth Fusion has installed the first major component in their commercial fusion power plant, with experiments planned for 2027.
That's huge news for the future of energy.
The future of energy and space exploration, they both seem pretty bright right now.
I'd say so.
Well, that was quite a journey through the world of tech news.
So much is happening.
It's hard to keep up.
It is. But that's what we're here for.
To help make sense of it all. Thanks for tuning in to Byte-Sized Tech.
We appreciate you listening.
If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that like button, leave us a comment, share this with anyone who's into tech, and subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. We'll catch you next time.
See you then.